Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something delicious.
I am. Always up for talking boba.
We are doing a deep dive into episode 2 of the Boba Dreams podcast, all about what it takes to build a successful boba business. In case anyone's ever dreamt of opening their own shop.
Oh, a lot to unpack there. And one thing that immediately struck me was how much they emphasized branding, which, you might not think is that crucial when you're talking about a drink, but
You make sense, though. There's so many boba shops out there these days.
exactly. So the podcast really hammered home the point that it's not enough to just have good boba. You need a brand that stands out.
They're really big on this whole idea of creating a holistic brand experience. What does that even mean exactly?
Well, they go into how it's about everything. It's the atmosphere, the customer service, how you present yourself on social media. It's about answering the big question. What makes your boba shop unique?
Right, like are you the classic milk tea with boba spot, or are you all about those crazy flavor experiments?
Exactly. Are you a place to hang out with friends, or are you more grab and go? They really stressed figuring out that unique selling point.
Okay, so once you've nailed down that identity, the podcast then talks about how that translates into your actual physical space.
Right, because that design has to reflect what you're all about. Like they gave the example of a cozy lounge versus a quick service spot. You walk into a place with comfy chairs, warm lighting.
Yeah, and those Instagrammable corners everyone's always looking for these days.
See, savvy marketing. Which, speaking of, the podcast goes on to talk about social media and how important it is to leverage all the different platforms.
Okay, but Instagram seems like the obvious one for boba, right? All those gorgeous photos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
High quality, close-up shots of the drinks. That's key for Instagram, according to the podcast. They said, think vibrant colors, those satisfying tapioca balls.
Oh man, now I'm craving boba. It's like food photography, but for drinks.
Exactly. Visual appeal is everything. But then they talked about TikTok, too, and how you've got to get creative there to engage a younger audience.
So like behind the scenes of making the drinks. Or maybe funny customer reactions.
Yeah, they mentioned those. And unique recipes, maybe even starting a boba challenge. They were all about showcasing personality there.
That's cool. I hadn't even thought about TikTok, to be honest.
I know, right? But they even said, don't sleep on Facebook.
Wait, really? I thought that was just for, like, our parents at this point.
Apparently not. The podcast positioned it as a really powerful tool for building that local community feel. Promoting events, specials, stuff like that.
Huh. The more you know, I guess. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so we've got our brand. We've got our online presence. How do we actually get people in the door?
Well, the podcast had a whole section on promotions and events.
Okay. Yeah, that's key.
Yeah, they were big on starting strong, like really going all out for your grand opening.
Oh, yeah, make a splash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe even partner with some influencers, get people talking.
Because first impressions are everything, right?
Sure.
Especially in the boba game.
For sure. But then they got into the whole, keeping the momentum going.
Yeah.
And they said you can't go wrong with a good happy hour.
Classic. Who doesn't love a good boba deal? I'm there.
Right. And they said it's smart because it brings people in during those slower times.
Smart, smart. Oh, but you know what else always gets me? Seasonal drinks.
Oh, for sure. Pumpkin spice boba, taro for the holidays.
Yeah.
They were all about that.
It's like, you got to try it before it's gone, you know?
Exactly. They even specifically called out that fear of missing out factor.
It's real. But okay, so someone comes in for a seasonal drink. How do you turn them into a regular?
Good question. They had some ideas about that too. Loyalty programs were a big one.
Okay, yeah, like a point system or something.
Exactly. Maybe even an app, keep it modern.
Oh, that's fancy. Track your rewards, get your boba fix.
Exactly. And then they also suggested thinking about collaborations.
Collaboration.
Yeah, like maybe you team up with a local bakery or a dessert shop.
Oh, interesting. So it's like cross promotion, you're reaching new people.
Exactly. They were really into that whole community aspect of it.
Which, speaking of community, the podcast really seemed to stress that whole idea, going beyond just like the transactional.
Oh, absolutely. It was like they want you to create a whole boba family, basically.
Oh, I love that. But how do you actually do that?
Well, they had a bunch of ideas. Personalized interactions were a big one.
Okay, so like remembering people's names, their usual orders.
Yeah, make them feel special. It goes a long way, they say. And then, of course, they're all about user-generated content.
Oh, right, because everyone trusts their friend's boba recommendation more than some ad.
Exactly. So they're saying encourage customers to post about their experience.
Makes sense. Free marketing. Oh, and what about actually hosting events at the shop?
They were into that, too. Boba making classes, tastings, you name it.
That's cool. Get people together in real life, not just online.
Exactly. It's all about that connection.
I like it. But, with all these different strategies, it made me wonder about, like, how do you even know if something's working?
Ah, good point. Well, luckily the podcast talked about that too. They had a whole section on measuring success.
Oh, good. So it's not just like crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
Not quite. They're all about looking at the actual data, like not just how many followers you have.
Oh, right, because that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Exactly. They said you got to look at the engagement. Are people commenting, sharing your posts, having actual conversations?
Okay, so it's about real interaction, not just vanity metrics.
Exactly. And are those promotions you're running actually translating into foot traffic? Are people mentioning they saw something on social media when they come in?
So you can connect the dots, see what's working.
Yep. And ultimately, they said the biggest thing is making sure your marketing is actually making you money.
Right, because that's the whole point, isn't it?
100%. They're all about that data-driven approach, making sure your efforts are actually paying off.
Wow, okay. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from branding and design to social media and marketing. That was a lot to process.
It really highlights just how much goes into building a successful boba business these days.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just making a tasty drink, that's for sure. But I feel like I learned a lot.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to see how much strategy goes into it.
It makes you wonder, though, what's next? Like, with so much competition, how do you stay ahead of the game?
That's the exciting part. It'll be interesting to see what new trends pop up, what creative ideas people come up with.
I'm here for it. All right, well, on that note, I think we've reached the bottom of our boba cup for today.
I'm already thirsty for more.
Me too. But until next time, happy sipping,